Welcome to Land Speed Legends, a podcast talking to the men, the women, the legends that make land speed racing great. Discover the stories of these ordinary people whose passion for land speed racing has made them legendary. And now, here's your host, the Bonneville Belle, the High Boy Honey, the Salt Princess, Allison Volk-Dean.
The legendary Chad Zupan first trip to the Bonneville Salt Flats was when he was 7 years old. Although he didn't start land speed racing until later, he kept himself busy by kart, dirt bike, and drag racing. In 2001, he started racing at Bonneville in his dad's street roadster, and in 2018, Chad finally got his red hat in a G Fuel modified roadster. Since then, he has been racing a 1963 Harley Sprint 250cc motorcycle. Hang on, this is going to be as fun as tipping the nitro can. All right, welcome, the legendary Chad Zupan.
Thank you.
The Nitro Ninja. Yes. So, and we'll get into your nitro quest and your I don't know, your love of nitro, I guess.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite thing about racing is nitro.
It's always fun. Throw a little bit more nitro in it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start with just how your first trip out to the Salt Flats was when you were 7. Your dad was racing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He built a street roadster I think he started building it in 83 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up with putting a 2-liter Pinto engine in it because that was kind of what he had and what he could afford, and he figured that would be he could compete in that class. And so that's what
start
we ended
the
up
love
with.
of the Pinto engines for you as well.
Pretty much, yeah.
So what was it like out there racing when you were that young?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, that was just heaven,
It's so much fun. Growing up out there.
I see my daughter doing the same thing, She's like, Dad, when are we going back to Bonneville? Last year she was all disappointed. She didn't get to go on the Salt.
Oh, I know. It was a bummer.
But yeah, it was a blast. I remember the most memorable car for me, I think, was Bob Noyce's Noyce Maker. And it was a black, fuel roadster, and it was just bad to the bone, I mean, it was so loud. I mean, I remember walking through the lines to wait, to run your car, and which was a mile long back then because there was only one course.
Yep.
And that thing would just thunder, and I was like, oh my gosh, that thing is so cool.
Now, did that run on nitro?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's why you like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But,
that's awesome. Yeah.
One of my other favorite cars that was pretty wild looking to me as a kid was a Raspberry Rocket.
I love the Raspberry Rocket.
Yeah. Such a cool car. So
yeah, I loved the Raspberry Rocket too. It'd be so cool to see it out there again. I wonder.
It would. Yeah.
Where it's at.
I heard somebody bought it, but maybe we'll see it.
Yeah.
One day.
Keep it purple. Keep it that color.
There you go.
I think that's why I liked it. It was just the color. I was like,
it was a flashy car, and it looked like a spaceship. And you were younger, like, man, this thing is cool.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in between, you started racing other things, kart racing, and tell us a little bit about your adventures in racing besides land speed.
Yeah. Well, my dad raced from about 85 to 92 with the street roadster. And then we kind of took a break in there. I was playing sports and things like that, started go-kart racing, and me and my dad did pretty much everything together, so.
Oh, sweet.
But I started, desert racing dirt bikes, and then I think it was about 97 or so, my dad ended up buying a drag race car. And so we went out to the drag strip and started drag racing. And
so fun.
That kind of got me, because the salt flat car was sitting in the garage at home. And that kind of got me all excited about salt flat racing, going out drag racing.
Yeah, there's just that connection there that you can,
Yeah. And so I was trying to talk to my dad. I said, God, we need to put a small block Chevy in your roadster and go out there and run it, And I'm like, that Pinto's not going to be very fast, He's like, I think you'd be surprised.
Yeah. What you can do with a Pinto
Yeah.
engine. Well, what were you guys drag racing?
It was like a mid-90s Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Oh, nice.
Pretty neat car. Had a really good look to it. It'd go low 10-second runs,
Nice.
So it was fairly fast car, but it was, now that I've salt flat raced and drag raced both, it was like, I tell everybody, I was like, almost like picking your nose at the drag strip, going down the strip, waving at the crowd, It's almost boring,
Yeah.
When you're going fast at the salt flats, you're going fast because you're driving fast for a long period of time,
That's right.
A lot of
and
stuff
you're
can
thinking,
happen.
I'm going really fast.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, that's fun that you guys did that, though. That sounds like fun, drag racing and dirt racing and kart racing.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a good time, with all that stuff.
We're going to, my boys are start kart racing this year.
Yeah. That's a really good
Yeah.
activity for the young kids, I think.
Maybe me and Shane will start doing it too.
Yeah.
They have an adult series. I think it'd be fun.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a blast.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then you start land speed racing. 2001, is that when you guys kind of go back, or had you gone back before that? I mean, I know you probably were going,
we were
but
there, spectating and stuff like that the whole time,
Yeah.
and then eventually, I think we got the car ready at the kind of the end of 99.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out, we actually sat home. It was the world of speed, and it was raining cats and dogs at home. And we were thinking, there's no way, they're going to be racing out there. My dad called Hugh Colthorpe like 2 days into the race and asked Hugh, is it rained out there? And he says, no, it's great out here. Come on. We're like, whoops.
Yeah,
and
you got to be careful.
We hurried and loaded the car and come out. And by the time we got there, it was the last day. And so all that they would let us run is the 130 club,
Okay.
And so we just figured, what the heck, I needed seat time. I'd never driven the car before.
Yeah. So what were you racing? What was it that you had built?
My dad's Roadster. We just took the fenders and the headlights and everything off of it, and modified a few things to make it run in the
130
modified Roadster class.
Oh, okay.
Instead of Street Roadster, because my dad owned the record. He set the record in Street Roadster in 1990.
Oh, okay.
And so we were like, we'll just see how long it'll take for somebody to get at that.
Yeah, so you just left that alone. So you weren't racing in the Street Roadster class, only in the one. Is that when you were racing in the 150?
Car.
Yeah.
Same car.
And so then you modify it, you take off the fenders, and you take off the lights.
Yeah, and we made it out there, and they told us, you can, run the 130. So I went down the 130 course, and I come back with the biggest smile, and I was like, yeah, you're right. We don't need a small black Chevy in this thing, because that little engine was so cool. And it didn't really start running until you got it up to about 7,200 RPM, and then it was like you turned a turbocharger on it. I was like,
oh, how fun!
Just take off.
And it was just a little Pinto engine.
It was just a little Pinto engine. Yeah, I was.
Well,
what did you
guys do? What did you guys do to it? Like, did you guys?
The engine. That engine was built by Bill Jones out of West Valley, and he built my dad's engines, for a long time. And we just it was a pretty wild engine, for a Pinto. I mean, you pretty much have to do everything on those engines from scratch, because there's no aluminum head or all this fancy stuff that they sell for the later Pinto engines.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so in 2004, in this, you made it a modified Roadster. And in 2004, you set a record, right? Is that right?
Let's see. We built.
Oh, no, you made it your debut.
That was when we built the new car. With the old car, I started racing in 2001. First time out, we went to Speed Week.
Okay.
And went over the record by like 15 miles an hour.
So that was in the Street Roadster. And then in 2004, you built a modified Roadster.
Yes, real modified Roadster.
A real modified Roadster. Yeah, not just taking the fenders and lights off.
Low slung.
Yeah. So
couple inches off
so you and your dad built that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, we built it ourselves in his steel shop. And it took us a little over a year. We didn't quite make the next Bonneville because we retired the Street Roadster, which we were running as a modified Roadster at the time, in 2003 at the last meet. And we come home and took the body off of it and set it on the floor and, started looking at it going, we're going to build a real modified roadster.
Nice. Yeah.
So it took us, a little over a year. We didn't make the next.
It's pretty quick though for building a
for
car.
Not really, knowing what we were doing. Because it's a whole different ball game building one of those.
Yeah.
Everything's inside the cockpit with you. The transmission and everything's up. So you kind of got to build around all of this stuff where in a street roadster, it's like building a hot rod pretty much. Everything's out the bottom, for the most part.
So it's a little bit more challenging. And then you guys put a D motor in that. Is that correct?
We ran it with the Pinto for 1 year.
Okay.
When we first built it, set the record with that at, I think, 165 in that range. We were just running on straight alcohol at the time, running in the fuel class.
And that was a D, fuel modified roadster?
That was a G, fuel modified.
Okay,
and
a G.
Then we put the D engine in a couple years after that.
Okay.
We got one of them Ford NASCAR engines that they used to run in the Busch Series and put that in it. We were thinking we're going to get in the 2 Club with this thing, and we had our eyes set on it.
This is going to be easy.
Yeah, not so much.
And then you ran that engine until 2009.
Yes.
So for about 5 years, close to 5 years.
And it was fun. It was nice to get, experience over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I probably have, 35, 40 passes over 200 miles an hour with that engine, and it was just nice to get comfortable going that fast all the time.
Yeah. So that is nice.
Mm.
I didn't get that.
Yeah.
I didn't get seat time. Not as much seat time as that. That would be fun. So, you guys got close to the record. It sounds like in this D motor.
Yeah, we got
the NASCAR engine.
No, we would have been on it, but the year that we come out with that was the year that Contrivance come out with their modified roadster and just blew it out of the water.
I know. You're
like,
oh.
What it was. I think everybody out there has been through one of those.
Yeah. You're like, okay, what else can I do?
Yeah.
So, were you guys? So it sounds like you and your dad kind of got the nitro bug a little bit. Just with this engine, with the NASCAR engine, or the.
No, we started. All we ran in that was gasoline and straight alcohol.
So how'd you get the nitro bug?
Before we were running with the old street roadster, when we were running that, we started running nitro a little bit, just playing with it, running, 10 and 30%, because we were trying to bump the record up and everything.
Just put a little in here and see what happens.
And at the time, it seemed like every time we went to impound, Willie Frudigger was in impound with his, nitro burning modified roadster that was bad to the bone, And so Dad and I just kind of really was like, we need to do that. That is just cool, And I really didn't talk to Willie much then, but I always, kind of idolized what he was doing. I'm like, this guy's got it going on. This thing is so cool because they, those nitro engines, they just sound so mean. Everybody
it has to be fun running those.
It's a whole different ball game there. It is fun.
So you guys decided to run the Pinto engine on nitro with that after.
Yeah, my dad had a engine sitting in the garage that he bought from Alan Strasberg, like, I don't know, 25 years, before that. And it'd just been sitting in the garage ever since I was a little kid, and I think he bought it for like $300 or something, and we're like, well, this engine doesn't owe us nothing, so let's just put it in. If we blow it up, we blow it up, who cares? And so, we started, running, getting a little braver, running, 50, 60% and stuff, and got real close, to the record. Because this engine wasn't nothing special, it was basically a mildly hopped up Pinto engine, And
but so is this the Pinto engine that you're like, oh, I think we might be able to get 200 in this engine, or is it a different one?
We just always felt, because with just the way the other engine ran that Bill Jones built for us, back in the day, we just kind of felt. Because it did, I think it went top speed of 168 in our modified roadster. And we just, we thought, you know what, I think we could probably get this thing to go 200, you know, if we really leaned on it one day, you know. Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a pipe dream at that point, you know. Me and my dad were just thinking, maybe we could do it, you know.
This might be possible. Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah.
So, so this is kind of like 2009-ish that you guys are
2010, we put the pinto back in the roadster and started running that and just learning, you know, we're just trying to learn how to run a little more percentage, because the smaller percentages, it seems like all you ever do is burn the ends of the spark plugs off and go slower pretty much, you know? And so we were finally, you know, getting up to where it was making a little power, you know?
Nice.
And, I mean, it wasn't real fast just because the engine wasn't that great of an engine to start with, you know?
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And then this is 2010, and then 2010 is kind of a sad year and a good year because your dad passes away in 2010.
Yep.
But then you meet your wife, Kay, in 2010. So there's kind of like a little silver lining to that year.
Yep.
And so, and she's all in on the salt flats.
Oh,
she's great.
Yeah. My wife just loves the salt flats. She will help us, you know, dump the oil on the roadster and she always mixes the nitro and, you know, she does anything that, you know, requires, you know, helping out, I guess.
Yeah. She became part of the crew.
She loves helping out. She's not there to make sandwiches. You know, she doesn't like doing that.
She's like, I am not going to make a sandwich.
Yeah, she will make it for us, but she wants to help.
Yeah, I get it. I get both. Yep.
Yeah.
So, so it sounds like what was her job on this? She joins the crew kind of. And so who's your crew at this point?
So at this point, it's me, my dad's cousin that always raced with us, you know, from when we first started racing. And let's see, Frank, and then Bo was helping us, Bo Berkdahl at the time, and Heather West. And that was pretty much all of us, you know, and my wife.
Yeah.
And that was it. And yeah, we went out and ran in 2011, and I ended up going over the record. And I kind of just had enough, you know. We were just, it seemed like we just kept going the same speed, you know, just doing the same thing, and it just wasn't going any faster, you know. And I was like, you know what, the heck with it.
Yeah,
we're pouring more fuel in this thing. And I seriously, we on the starting line, I just started dumping the can in there, and everybody's looking at me like, you're nuts, you know. And
started tipping the can.
Yeah, and it went fast enough to qualify, you know. It went.
So you qualified in the G fuel modified roadster.
Yeah, in 2011.
And so you qualified, and you set the record at 167 miles per hour.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, and then you know, I had tried to get my wife. You know, I said, you got to drive the car. You know, this be a good, you know, experience for you. You know, the car's not going real fast right now. You know, a good time to get you some seat time. And she always, you know, declined. No, I don't think so. I don't think I want to drive out there. And so that winter, you know, she had thought about it, and she's like, you know what? Why not?
Nice.
What do I got to lose?
Nice.
You know? So,
she changed her mind. She's like, yeah.
Yeah. So in Speed Week 2012, we put her in the car, and it was pretty neat.
She bumped up your record.
And she did. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good time. And we actually had a film crew from Canada follow us around all week. You know, it's like, it was kind of funny, you know, because my dad would always say, God, we never get the roadster in any magazines or anything like that, you know. And I was just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, a woman drives the car, you know, the first time, and here we go, you know. But it was funny.
That is, my brothers were always mad because I like, they drove the car, set records, and then I drove the car, and it was like it was crazy. Yeah, it was just different. Yeah, but so do you have any plans to get her in the club? Maybe. Yes,
eventually.
Nice.
Yeah, not immediate, but yes,
it's in the horizon.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you're not that far off, Kay. You're 30 miles to get to 200. That's a lot of 30 miles per hour, though, between 170 and 200.
Yeah, for sure.
So in 2013, you decide, what happens? You decide you're going to build an engine.
Yeah, because the other engine, you know, it was just, it started life as kind of a worn out engine, so I figured that's probably all we ought to push that thing. We started running up to 70% in that thing, and it went, almost 171. And I was just thinking, we probably better not run this anymore, because it was just a stock rod, stock crank. Everything was pretty much stock. It had a decent set of pistons in it, but
it was tired.
About it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2013, I just decided, I'm going to build my own engine. I want to try, and see if I can build my own. I picked up a book and on 2-liter Pintos, how to build a fast 2-liter Pinto. And I read it cover to cover probably 50 times, and I ended up contacting Kenny Cloth, because he had a little flow bench, that he used to do his flathead stuff on. And so I contacted him, went over to his shop, and I said, can I borrow this? Can I port my cylinder head and come over here and flow it? And he's like, no, but you can take my flow bench. He said,
I don't want you here, but you can take it.
I think he knew how many hours I was going to spend on that thing. And
That's funny.
We loaded it up the back of my truck, and I took it home, and, I'll bet I spent probably 100 hours on that thing, porting that cylinder head, just doing a little bit at a time, because I'd never done it before. So it was like grind a little bit, test it, grind a little bit, test it, and it took forever, Now I could probably bust one out in, 20 hours or less, but
that learning process, that learning curve, and
I before I kind of just, my dad did most of the engine work. I knew a bit about an engine, but nothing serious. I assembled engines and stuff before, but this was my first time really diving in.
And I think that's good for people to know that maybe are thinking about racing, or like, you just got to do it and start doing it. And it's just like eating an elephant. You just one little bite at a time, and just, you have to hop in, and if you're ready to do it, just start it. And it'll start, it'll work. Yeah.
I think it kind of teaches you, too, that you can do anything if you, spend enough time and, research everything. I mean, you can do it. That
is kind of the beauty of, any racing, but land speed racing, is that you're really, kind of doing it on your own. And just like you said, you can do it. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
So
just got to be committed and have a goal in mind. And
yep. And your goal was the red hat.
Yeah.
You were committed.
My goal was the red hat.
So you finally got your Pinto engine built.
Yep.
And then you head to the test and tune.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, we headed out to the test and tune in 2014. The first year it was back for, quite a long time.
Yeah.
And
it used to be a full-on meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, we always used to run July there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we headed out there and stepped up my game. I had been talking to Willie over the phone, because we
Willie.
We really met and started talking, around, 2012 range, something like that. And, Willie's so full of it, it's, he was telling me, oh, you got to, put this much fuel in it. And I'm like, Willie, this thing's never going to run with that much fuel in it. I was calling BS, and he's like, you got to put that much fuel in it and all this. And so I caved in, and I did, pretty much what he was telling me to do.
Yeah.
And
so what did you put in? How much?
We went out, put 80% in it, and went out to the test and tune, and it ran 187 and at the 3. And I was just like, holy smokes,
Willie was thing, right.
Yeah, Willie was right for sure.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, because we used to use, all 4 gears, and we pushed it off there at the test and tune, and that thing just tried to swap ends immediately. It was just making so much power. Mm-hmm. And so from then on, we started using 3rd and 4th only, because you could get it to hook up that way.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. So all of a sudden you're seeing like, oh, this is possible. Like the real possibility of you're going to get this record.
Yeah. I was like, man, I think we can do this. step it up a little more. We were just barely, tickling the edge of it,
Yeah.
what its potential was, I felt. So, but it was kind of funny though. I'd tell people that I'm going to go, 200 in this roadster with this little Pinto engine.
Oh yeah.
I think the only person that believed that I could do it was my dad. And that was it. I don't even think Willie thought I could do it. I mean, he was pretty excited about it, but he was pretty doubtful that had actually go that fast.
That's funny.
And so was my crew chief at the time, BJ Berkdahl.
Yeah.
He built a lot of trick parts and things for me. He's kind of a big aerodynamicist, and he was pretty doubtful himself. It was quite comical.
So but this is 2014 that you start the test and tune. So this is a few years until you get that red hat.
Yeah. We went out and ran World of Speed in 2014 and just made some mistakes, and just didn't get it done. I ended up hurting a head gasket, and we did get the record. Went 180, averaged 181, and I was pretty disappointed.
That's not fast enough.
Yeah, BJ's brother Bo was like, God, I don't think I've ever seen anybody in impound that was upset.
So sad.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, I know, but when you have that goal in mind, you're like, the record's great, but it's not a 2-club record. And I think,
that's all I could see at the time, So I was.
You got some tunnel vision going. So, you went, and so then after that test and tune, you went to the World of Speed.
Yes.
And then you bumped it up to, that's where you made the 181 that we were just talking about, the record. Okay. So then, sounds like you took some time off maybe, or you weren't race
then
for a couple
flooded,
years?
because then the salt flooded and we lost, at least 1 year. And then the salt was pretty bad, I think in 2016 and 17.
Yep. Oh, it was really bad.
And so we weren't really wanting to run too bad. And so we got it, it sounded like the salt was shaping up in 2018. And luckily we ran, because that's the best I had seen it since, the early 2000s when I first started racing. So, and so we went out there and
you did some modifications to it.
We did, yeah. We took it up to BJ's shop and cut the top of the head cage off, and we lowered it in the car probably 5 inches, and I just wanted to get every advantage that we could, and we put skinnier tires up front and rear, just to try and cut, some more air drag. And, and then we went out to World Speed in 2018. And first pass off the trailer, we spun it out. I didn't realize it at the time. I hadn't been, in the car for a while, and I didn't know exactly what the course was doing. And we put those little skinnies on the rear. And it was kind of swapping, back and forth a little bit. It was a little bit of a handful going through the gears. And then I got it in high gear, and I figured, it'll settle down in high. And it did.
Until it spun out?
Yeah, until we went through the 2 mile, and it spun straight left. So
terrifying.
So that was not a good day. So because it hurt, a few things. Our belly pan ended up all bent, and a lot of the steering bolts and everything in the front end were bent. And so we went back and we actually loaded on the trailer, took it to the car wash in Wendover, and just blew, because it blows salt in everywhere.
Yeah.
And so we took it into Wendover, pulled all the panels off of it, washed it, brought it back out to the salt, and started, bending panels back into shape and replacing, the stuff in the front end and getting alignment and all that. So, so that wasted a day and a half.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was a whoops. And so anyway, I told BJ, I said, we're putting the old rear tires back on it. I'm not going to chance, any more of this.
I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, we don't need to be doing that again. So we put the rear tires back on it. It was second to last day, and went out and just barely qualified. We went like, 181, like 5 or something on a 181.1 record, which was my record.
Yeah.
And so it qualified. And then I was like, well, we gotta kick it in the butt, because we were running 80% at the time. And
so did you go for that record, or did you take it on impound?
no, we
got that record.
Yeah, we figured let's run it back. So I tuned it up in the morning. We put 85 in it and ran it back, and it went 193.
You're like,
and I'm going, yes.
And, and what's the record that you're going for on this?
It was 181.
No, what's the 2 club record?
It was
an open.
Yeah.
It was open record. So it was just 200. Okay.
Not expected to go that fast.
They're like, we won't do anything with this.
Yeah. So anyway, so we ran it back the next morning, which was the very last day of the meet, which is a half a day.
Yeah.
And I talked to your dad at the time. I'm like, I want to go back and, qualify it. We need to get this done. And so we kind of hurried, everything through impound.
Mm-hmm.
And we tuned it up. We put 90% in it and went back down and ran it in the early afternoon. And it went 202 out the 4.
Nice.
And we were just jumping for joy,
Yes, just tickled.
Yep.
So you get into impound this half day. So now you have to just go to impound and basically run it back.
So there's us and like one other car that had qualified that late in the day.
Yeah.
And your dad, had come over to us and said, how much time do you need? And I'm like, we're going to have at least a couple hours, because, the nitro deal, you got to dump all the oil, and because it turns it into, what looks like pancake batter, because it pushes so much fuel into the oil. And so you got to dump all the oil, run fresh oil all the way through the system. And, we got to mix more fuel and, do our regular checks on the car. And so, we went back down in a couple hours, and BJ's brother, Timmy, helped me that whole meet. He was kind of our crew chief that meet. And he said, what do you want to do to it? And I said, don't touch, we don't want to touch anything. We don't want to be adjusting timing, nothing. Because it ran, we're going to run it again. I said, we're just going to dump a few more percent in it and just let her rip. Mm-hmm. And it went down and went, I think 199.5 or something through the 4. And
so you got
just barely got it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what was the record you ended up setting?
So it was 200.842.
On the last day of the meet, just squeaking in.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that one felt pretty good.
Yeah. And you're the last car to go down the track at that meet.
Very last car. Yeah.
I love it. That's a great story.
Yeah, it was pretty
So you
cool.
got your red hat.
I did.
Exciting.
Yep.
And so then now you retired that roadster though, for now.
Yeah, for now. I mean, pretty much,
Just for a bit.
That was the goal I had in mind, and I have a young family, and the roadster takes a lot to run, I mean, you got to have a crew,
Oh yeah.
You got to have people helping you work on it, or especially at home, going out racing, to get people's easy part.
Right. That's the fun part.
Yeah. It's the fabrication end of it at home.
It's the hours and hours, especially during the summer. It's just
and so
many hours.
Yeah. So I was looking to, do something else. I wanted to race something else. And I always thought, it'd be kind of cool to race a motorcycle out to Bonneville. I've never done that.
I love it.
So I picked up an old 63 Harley Sprint. And I actually, it was a couple of bikes that were out to Bonneville. And these guys were from Florida. And I went over to talk to him because I had a couple of these motorcycles. I'd already had this in mind, and I just went to go ask him, where he got parts and stuff for these things. And he asked me, "Do you want to buy this?"
It's all done.
I just kind of was like, I don't know. Well, what do you want for them? And so we got talking, and he had 2 of them, and he's like, "You got to buy both." And I'm like, I want one motorcycle. I don't want 2, and I already got 2 at home.
Like, this is a lot of motorcycles.
So, yeah. And so, we ended up.
You did it though.
Purchasing both of those. And
of course.
then come home, and then I built my own engine, of course. And I decided I'm going to try and run this on nitro,
Nice.
Because if, most motorcycle classes down in the CC range, with the smaller displacement stuff, they're basically almost always running gasoline in the fuel class. And so there's my niche right there.
Yeah.
I run fuel, so that's
half the battle, finding somewhere you can fit in that rule book.
Yep. So I put together this engine, and I got all this, a mechanical fuel injection on this little engine, and,
how fun though.
Yeah, it was just cool. People look at that engine going, what in the heck is going on there? I got all these return lines returning into the tank, and it's pretty cool. Nice.
And so that's what's the class that you race in that?
It is 250cc push rod fuel class.
And so what are you running? What is the record?
We just set the record. When I first went out with it, the records were all 80, 90 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. That's why I kind of had my eye on them. I was like, I don't want to, set the world on fire my first time on a motorcycle out to the salt,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why I picked those classes, we can go out there and think around and have a good old time, and so over the years, we've learned how to, run fuel in it, and we've bumped most of them up, around the 110 range. We put BJ on the bike last year on the 350.
Who did you put on there?
BJ Bergdahl. Which he's helping me, he's my crew chief right now. And I talked him into running the motorcycle because I told him, God, this thing's cool. It's such a different experience being on a motorcycle on the salt.
Yeah, there's not a lot of crossover. I don't think there's probably a few people, but you don't see that crossover from motorcycle to car a whole lot.
No, not a lot at all. And so I told BJ, I said, this thing is so cool. It's like you're just like one with the salt, you're just so close to
just
it.
Connected.
Yeah.
Huh,
it is
that's interesting.
So different compared to running a car out there. You're way back in the car and you're buckled up and you're looking a mile ahead, where the motorcycle you're not. It's like you're just right there,
Yeah, that's interesting. The different experiences you had, and to see, because I wouldn't even realize that, like, oh, you're just closer to the salt. You're just more like, oh, it's right here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a pothole, right?
Yeah.
You see it as you drive by.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can ride right against the flags,
Yeah.
I'm probably riding, 5 feet off of the flag, where in a car you wouldn't dare do that because you're afraid you'd be going right through it.
Yeah. That's fun.
So it's been a really fun experience.
So how many motorcycles are you racing out there?
Just this one now with multiple engines.
Okay.
And
so you switch classes a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is much easier to switch classes on a motorcycle than it is car, stuff. But.
Yeah. And like you said, with a smaller crew, a motorcycle doesn't need a big crew.
No, I can work on it myself. I don't really need anybody to help me necessarily. It's
somebody to come pick you up at the end.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. And you don't have to take, the whole garage with you to work on the thing. You can just take a minimal amount of tools and you're set, it's fun. It's almost just like just grassroots racing, just the old school stuff, where you could just take a tube sock full of tools and, you got it made.
That's fun. I love that.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any future plans on what you're going to do?
With that, we're just going to keep running. I think I'm going to maybe build one more engine for it. And, it's, it's kind of been a community bike so far. I think we've set 6 or 7 records with that, with 4 different riders.
Fun.
Because we put Gary Lewis on it.
Nice.
And then we put Carlos Wilden on it. And that was pretty cool to do, those things for those guys that they really appreciated that. I think. And that's just a fun little class where it's not like,
you're going for serious, like not, I don't want to say serious records. I want to say you're not going, it just gets more serious if you have that goal in mind, that like tunnel vision goal of like the red hat or 400 miles an hour. And so just to be able to go and run and have fun is nice too.
Yeah.
Both are great.
I've had an absolute ball. Me and BJ both. I mean, it's probably comical as heck, watching both of us down on the starting line with our 200 mile an hour club hats running this little 100 mile an hour motorcycle,
We're here to have fun now. Well, what, do you have any car plans? Like, you said you might bring the car back out.
We might. Yeah. Yeah. We might down the road. I don't know.
What are you thinking about it? Like,
we'll probably just, do the same deal, just with the little Pinto engine.
Oh, nice.
And just see if maybe we could bump it a hair and get K in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, is there anything else you want to add? This has been great.
No, I
any
think
stories you can think? I mean, I always offer people the last experience, the last chance here.
It was funny. BJ and I were at Speed Week. It was a couple years ago during the COVID years, out there, and we were at the starting line, and I take off because the motorcycle we started on propane.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow!
And so it's just sitting there, just like your lawn tractor, just it doesn't sound like much. And then we turn the fuel on, and it is, it gets rowdy in a hurry. You're like, oh my god. And so anyways, we're at the starting line, and BJ pushes me away, and I just, take off, and this little motorcycle gets with it, I mean, it's making some power down low. And BJ says, I get out there a ways, and he said, I start wrapping up, the starter cart and everything that we use for it. Mm-hmm. And he says he could hear this guy in the background, and he just yells, "Holy shit!"
That's funny.
Yeah. So I got quite a kick at it.
As you take off. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Probably burning his eyes,
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So.
That's funny. Well, that little engine all of a sudden starts to...
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because people get right next to it. When we got it started on propane, as soon as we switch it to nitro, it's like everybody backs up 10 feet like, oh my God.
Oh, their eyes closing. Oh, that's awesome. I got to come watch that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Well, this has been great. And I just want to encourage everyone to go to savethesalt.org and just buy a t-shirt or donate so we can keep having these awesome stories going for a long time where people get a race. And just please go to my Instagram page and my Facebook page under Land Speed Legends and like this and share this. And that's all. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to Land Speed Legends. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, keep up with the show on Facebook and Instagram under Land Speed Legends. Until next time.